outcome was really good. The patient looks fantastic. Much going on in the NSS this year. There's people doing real live demonstrations and treatments in front of you as you speak, as well as lots of different stalls with different skincare products, filler products, anti-wrinkle products. Oh my gosh, this place is a cosmetic heaven. Oh, I've just seen my friend. Hello, how are you? I'm sorry.
So in this beautiful exhibition center over here in the non-surgical Symposium, you get lots and lots of treatments on offer, and the craziest thing is you actually get to try them out yourself. Just getting sculpture done on my legs. It's so great because while I'm trying to lose fat, these guys over here, they're all eating ice cream. Way to make me feel good about myself.
So that wraps up the first day of the non-surgical symposium, and it was so much fun. It was comprised of a mixture of lectures and practical sessions, as well as exhibition stalls as well. In terms of the lectures, we went through a lot of things, and we reaffirmed the aging process, whereby when we get a bit older, we do lose a lot of the fat pads in our faces, and we do get something called gravitational descent, which means that everything tends to go downwards, unfortunately. And we went through the different aging processes between men and women. So for example, women will get the jowl lines and men will get flattening of the eyebrows. Now these are things that you can easily correct with filler therapy and also anti-wrinkle treatments as well, to give you that full face rejuvenation. The lectures also reaffirms the theories behind the danger zones and where to inject and where not to inject, which is vital to know in terms of anatomy when you are injecting patients, because you want to avoid all of those complications that can happen. The really fun part was that we got to do some practical sessions on real life patients. So I had my own model who had his tear troughs and a bit of cheek fillers done as well. Now this part of the course was facilitated by some international cosmetic physicians from Amsterdam and America. So it was a real privilege to be with them today. What I found really interesting was the exhibition stalls. It was exciting to speak to different companies about the different products they have. For example, I spoke to the Cool Sculpting team, who are essentially fat freezing. I also spoke to another team who are called Coyote, who are the opposite of Cool Sculpting, whereby they heat the fat by laser to melt it away. But the really interesting thing about all of this is that you actually can trial the products yourself. Where's that tram?
Slowly feeling the weight of gravity. Innocence falling to their destiny. We keep on with this goal in our minds. Let's fly on. We'll meet at the end.
$49, and the winner of that is Nora. Congratulations.
I just won an espresso coffee machine thanks to the non-surgical symposium. Woo! So I'm very, very chuffed with this. I'm going to go and enjoy a nice coffee. See you later. The outcome is really good. Oh, but Alright, now that the conference is over, I have to say that one of the nicest things about it is listening to the experience of universal and international speakers. For example, one of the Brazilian speakers spoke about her experiences and she stressed about the importance of when to have filling treatment. Now, you may not know this, but in order to have a filler, it's recommended that you don't have any procedures or vaccinations 3 months prior to having your filler. And this is because you want to reduce the risk of any granulomas or nodules. Now that's really important, and what I think is interesting about this point is because I can imagine there are a lot of physicians out there or people who don't know about that point, and they're getting all these side effects and issues. So it's about the intricacies of learning about timing of fillers, which I felt was quite interesting. Another speaker went over the overdosage of anti-wrinkle use. Now you may think that in order to get a big amount or a good amount of treatment on your face you need lots of product, but actually he drew upon case studies whereby if you use more than needed anti-wrinkle treatment, it actually doesn't have an impact on the duration of the action of the treatment. And in fact, it can cause the inverse by means of making the patient become immune to that product. Now, this can be corrected by using a different brand of an anti-wrinkle treatment. And on practical terms, it also means that patients will be spending less money on their anti-wrinkle treatment. Another topic that I quite enjoyed was getting into the mindset of an artistic injector. This particular session allowed me to see how other cosmetic physicians inject into their patients. Now, for myself, I use quite a structured protocol in assessing the face, and I divide it into 3 sections. And then I assess the patient in terms of what they need, what fillers they need, and what anti-wrinkle treatment they need as well. Listening to one of the other speakers, they do something called the true vertical line, which basically means putting a line down the center of the face, which allows you to look at the profile of that patient and to give symmetry. Now, whilst looking at a patient's face in this manner, you will get symmetry. However, symmetry isn't always a good thing. In some patients, they may have a deviated nose or they may have deviated lips, in which case you need to assess the patient individually to see whether or not that technique will work for them. Another great thing about the conference was the ability to network and to speak to the different exhibitors to see what products they have on show, and also just to mingle with my fellow colleagues. For example, I was offered 3 different jobs during the conference itself by different cosmetic doctors around Australia, from Brisbane to Melbourne to Coolangatta as well, so it was fantastic. And I also won a prize as well, which was a free coffee machine for speaking to the most exhibitors in the conference itself. So I have to say, all in all, I thoroughly enjoyed the conference. I got the chance to speak to different exhibitors, got the chance to speak to different cosmetic physicians out there, and also I won some prizes as well. So if you are looking into starting in this field, I would definitely recommend it. You will not be disappointed and it will reward you. But for now, it's time for me to look at the beautiful sunset and say take care and stay healthy.
If you come and stay with me, flying along where we started, part of me will not regret. I won't forget. Stay strong, we're not departed. Endlessly, you will be free. If you come and stay with me.
Now that the lectures are over, it's time to check out the non-surgical symposium gala. Woo!